Welcome to Real Estate Agent Superstars. From groundbreaking strategies to personal stories of triumph, we're here to uncover the secrets behind the success of the real estate industry's elite. And now, here is your host, R.J. Baxter.
Thanks for joining me today, Joe. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Look forward to it.
So I wanted to have you on because you have just really hit the ground running out of the gates. You were Rookie of the Year in 2020 with Start Real Estate, and then Agent of the Year the very next year in 2021. How did you start off so fast in the business like
that? It's a great question. It was a lot of hard work, a lot of hours, a lot of driving, for me, it was just about taking advantage of the opportunities that were given to me, and trying to capture each and every one. I think we were at a place where interest rates were a lot lower back then. So there was more people coming to the table. But I just wanted to take advantage of every opportunity. So just, having those, realistic expectation conversations with clients, from the beginning, and then just, getting them to, buy into what I was telling them, and I think a lot of that, just snowballed in a positive way and allowed me to gain traction and momentum. And from there, I just kind of developed that system, on what I was saying and how I was approaching things. And, it just took off for me.
How did you figure out what your system was? Were you mentored, or was it just trial and error or something like that?
I had a little bit of mentorship on how to, write contracts and go through that. But for the most part, it was about, once I learned, and obviously there's unique situations and circumstances that come up in every deal. But once you learn the general ones that you're going to see a majority of the time, you kind of get an understanding of it. And then with that understanding comes confidence. And with that confidence, as I began to be confident, I was able to portray that or show that to clients. And so as they were hearing those things that I was saying, not only was I confident in saying them, but I truly believed it and, got them to buy in. And when I believe something, I'm going to speak it with passion, and I'm going to, work harder than most people are willing to work and sacrifice, more than most people are willing to sacrifice. And it didn't come easy. I mean, it was a lot of hours. It was a lot of driving. It was a lot of conversations. It was a lot of, managing stuff, and a lot of that is the expectations from the beginning. So I think that for me was the biggest step to understand, is, how do we take somebody who is, has an approval or has a pre-qual, and how do we get them to, not only hone in, that excitement, but maybe tailor it to what we can realistically expect. Sometimes it's for the worse, sometimes it's for the better, right? But as the professional, you have to lead them. You have to be the leader. And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for extreme confidence, and they're looking for extreme leadership. And they want you to drive, that bus for them. And that's what I was willing to do.
Totally. People want to be led. I found that on the lending side also, that people appreciate that guidance. That's why they hire you. So
100%. Yeah. That for me, that was, that was the part that came naturally to me, is, getting an understanding of how kind of the business works, how negotiations work, how contract structure works. But from there, you know what I mean? It's, what would I like if I was in that situation? You know what I mean? Buying a home for the first time, what are some things that you don't know what you don't know. And for me, a lot of it was like, okay, so what are a lot of people going to, they're, sometimes hesitant, they're scared, they have fears, they have anxieties, right? And if you can learn, that there's a pattern to those things and understand how to, build the confidence in them and, almost anticipate what they're going to be feeling at what point. Right. So laying out a, specific game plan or format from the beginning. And then as those situations come up, readdressing those, and instilling that confidence. Say, hey, got your back. This is how we're going to play this certain situation. Remember, we talked about that previously.
Right. Now, Start was a lot of, you were getting a lot of leads, right? Internet leads.
Yeah, a lot of leads, through the company, which was great. It's exactly what I needed, at least starting out for me. Because talking with people and getting them to buy into me, that was easy for me. That was the easy part of the business. It was an understanding of, how to write contracts and go through certain scenarios. But I knew that was a great place for me to, begin, because I didn't know where to get those from. And I didn't have the funds to be able to throw at, a bunch of these lead generation companies, at least from the get-go. I do buy into a lot of those now, but you gotta have money to make the money, and you gotta have money to be able to put into that. So I knew for me that was a good situation to be in.
Mm-hmm. So do you approach a internet lead different than you would a warm referral, or is it similar?
Very similar in terms of approach. You know what I mean? Like the transaction is going to be the same, right? I think having that warm introduction is great.
The initial contact as far as converting, because something you told me before we started this is one of your strong points is your conversion is high. So that's where I was going with that is there a different way that you approach that first conversation to help? I hate to use the word convert because I don't know.
No, I understand what you're saying. For me, it's the same approach, but you can see how, you almost have to treat it as if you do know those people, right? As if it is a warm referral, right? As if you have already spoke to these people, right? Now they're calling in and they're coming to you with the same questions, fears, anxieties, hesitations, dreams, aspirations, all that stuff. So that's the same, so it's all about getting them to, buy into you. It's easier to do that when you have that referral and that warm introduction. If you don't, it's still the same approach for me, right? It's instilling confidence. In them that I'm the right person to lead them, or whoever that is the right person to lead them. So I think the approach is the same. The system's the same. What you're trying to, figure out in terms of their wants and needs and, setting those expectations is the same. The approach isn't much different.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate you saying that, because I was thinking that's what you're going to say, because I look at it the same way. I mean, people are people. It doesn't matter how you met them, because if you get a warm referral from someone, you don't know that person either. So it's really the same type of conversation.
Same conversation. Yeah. It's nice. It's nice to have those. It's refreshing from time to time, but I almost like, when I'm coming into a blind situation, sometimes even more, because I look at it as a challenge, because my objective in that initial consultation or initial phone call is to get them to buy into me. Right. And it's all about laying out the groundwork. And so for me, it's not a different approach. And I like the challenge. They're either going to be with you or they're not, and I never like to leave, a conversation where I'm not confident that they're bought in. And most of the time, that's not the case. Most of the time, they're bought in.
How do you know that?
Because I get a feel for it, how they're responding, how they're reacting. Most of the time I get to them to say, I appreciate, you saying those things, because I come from a place of, I'm authentic. You know what I mean? I'm going to keep it honest with you, whether it's something that you want to hear, most of the time I tell you what you need to hear, because to me, I'm not scared to lose anything. Right. But I'm never going to sacrifice, somebody's well-being or my approach just because it could make money or, what have you. I'm never going to sacrifice that. So I try to come off as, I don't try to come off. I come off as authentic and genuine. And, I'm the same person, as I am on the phone as I am in person, and, that's how I get people to buy in a lot. Now it's a lot of conversations, and sometimes it takes a little while to get to that point. Sometimes conversations have to be a little bit longer and people are more hesitant, but you find out what those fears are. You find out what, the things that they love and hate and, all that stuff. And then you just kind of go with the conversation from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that sense that you're the same exact person with a client as you are on this podcast, as you are if I met you at the grocery store or whatever it is. So
yeah,
and I think
absolutely.
And I think that's so valuable to talk about, because I think sometimes people try to be someone they're not in this business, and I think that can be a big mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's half the battle right there. I mean, I think about it like this, like you come across situations, not in real estate, but when you're dealing with other professionals, what are some of the things that you love and hate about those interactions, right? And I always try to keep a note of the times where I didn't like a certain way something was approached or how it was said, or what was or wasn't done. And to me, I've almost self-generated a list of things that I will never do, or a list of things that I always will make sure that I do, because it's no matter what you're looking to buy or get into, those the things that you like and you don't are oftentimes the same.
Right, right, totally. So I think I saw, correct me if I'm wrong, I saw this online that you closed a staggering 200 homes between 2021 and 2023. Is that accurate?
Yeah, 2021, 2023, about 200 homes. Yeah. 2021 it was 75 alone.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So was that mainly buyers, mainly sellers, 50-50?
A few sellers sprinkled in there, mainly buyers. So it was a lot of these conversations, right? And that's how you get good at these things, is you start to develop them, right? The more that you practice, the more repetition that you get, you know, that's how I, develop that system that I have and the approach that I have with those guys. But yeah, most of it was buyers. So it was a lot of driving, and there was no place I wouldn't go. Like I said, that, maybe just starting out, I didn't have the skill set that some of the seasoned veterans have, but I knew that I had the work ethic. So I would go all over the state, down to Pueblo, up to Sterling, out on the Western Slope. There's no place I wouldn't go. I go where the people need me, and that's where I made myself available. So oftentimes people just wanted to work in specific areas. I knew as I was, growing and developing, that sometimes you're going to have to do things that you don't necessarily would want to do. But at the end of the day, those are the things that are going to help, in the future as you begin to foster and generate these relationships with, new clients.
Right, right. I'm just wondering how you kept your head screwed on straight. Like who's
Tough. It was tough. Well, my therapy is every morning I get up and I work out, and I try to condition myself, and I try to kill myself in those, because I want that to be harder than anything that I'll face. Now, oftentimes you're still going to run into situations and, scenarios where, it's tough. It's tough to deal with, and it does take a toll on you mentally. So I think you have to have outlets like that, to keep sane, for sure.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So 75 in 2021. Were you just a solo agent, or did you have support or a team?
No, I was a solo agent. I've never worked with a team or on a team. I did have an assistant for a few years that helped me, make phone calls and things like that. And that was the gist of it. I didn't have anybody else that was really doing anything for me. And so it was a lot, like I said. I mean, I think my biggest month, I think I had 12 transactions going at once, and it was a lot. You have to be on top of your game, and you have to be able to have these conversations and be able to pivot and switch, because once you get to certain points in that contract with certain, buyers, right? Especially during that inspection period, that's the biggest, emotional sway that can happen. Typically now we were running into other ones with appraisals and stuff like that back then, with the market being where it was. But inspection, I think, is the biggest one in terms of managing, having a good system, having a good team of, inspectors that you can refer. And obviously the choices that, theirs, but, just trying to make the transaction easy as possible, having people that you can trust. And sometimes you have to go through that to get to the right ones, because referrals to me are the biggest. I'm not going to put my name on something or refer my name and attach it to somebody if I don't have full belief in them, because that's a reflection on you.
Totally, totally. Man, 12. So the trick is always to then not do zero the next month. Because
Exactly. I mean, as much as you want to, because you're like, I just, for me, I've always approached it. I want to be, halfway completed with my next month, halfway, basically want to be halfway completed with my following month in that month that I'm in, so I try to set it up like that so that I have little goals, throughout each day or week or month that I want to obtain. And, there's a certain number that I want to hit. So, oftentimes, I hit that mark, but there was a few times where I came short, but then you just have a bigger month to follow, you know, there was nothing that was going to stop me from hitting those goals. And if I had a month where I was down a little bit, then there was no excuse not to work harder to make up for that the following.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you do your goals? Is it based on production or closings, or is it you drill it down to make 15 phone calls a day or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, it's that kind of approach. I mean, at the beginning or at the end of, the previous year, I like to sit down and do goals and vision boards and, kind of want to, where I want to see in terms of, gross commission. And then in terms of, transactions, first starting out, it was all about transactions because I figured if I set the goal for the transactions, the commission's going to follow, right? Or that money will follow. And it's the same approach that I have with a client. If you just take care of them, everything else is going to fall in place, right? Yeah. That exactly, so my focus and my goal is always on the client, and it's the same approach that I have or that I had with, a number of transactions now, trying to tier up into, higher price points and things of such. I think it's going to be more tailored. I haven't sat down and done my goals quite yet. I'm starting to work on it for 2025. But I think my approach is going to be on, that gross commission or, volume.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have a daily success plan that you do, like a certain routine of things within your business?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm starting to get into that. I'm starting to get into, a more systematic approach when it comes to, making X amount of phone calls, sending out X amount of car or whatever it may be. But for a lot of the time, it was just pick up the phone, make the calls, get in front of people, get out there. For me, I always just wanted to spend time in my car because I knew if I was driving somewhere, then I'm being productive because I'm showing homes and I'm ultimately going to get, that's going to lead to where I want to be. So I tried to be in my car as much as possible. That was a goal.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, but no, I do. But going back to your question, I do tailor, I'm starting to tailor it out to, weekly and monthly, and daily, more realistic, things on my agenda that I want to accomplish, because I think that's going to help me over the long haul in terms of, sustaining success, not burning out, and that's the big approach that I'm going to try to have for next year.
Yeah. So it's around Thanksgiving of 2024 right now. Have you done your goal planning for 2025? What kinds of things are in your sights?
I'm beginning to work on that now. So I'm, going to be creating a vision board of some things that I want in the future and, the immediate and then the, long term. And then I'm going to be, going through exactly what we just talked about in terms of where do I want to be in total sales volume wise? Where do I want to be in terms of, commission wise and, number of transactions, to me, I'm kind of letting that go a little bit because I can feel I can be more effective or more efficient, by setting those other parameters. And if it takes a couple to get, to that kind of median place that I want to be in purchase price wise, then so be it, so I think I'm going to set my goals on that, in the following weeks. So I'm just starting to plan that right now.
Okay. Nice. So you're not with Start anymore, right? You're with Next. Is that right?
Yeah. So not with Start anymore. I'm with Next Home Front Range and I've been there. I made the switch over, which was tough. It was a tough for me to leave because I was just doing so well. And then I ended up, feeling like it was the right fit at the right time. And so now I'm with Next Home Front Range.
Gotcha. So what I was going to ask is, are you still working leads now, or are you getting a lot of referrals from your past clients at this point?
It's both. It's both. I'm definitely not to the point where I feel like I can just sustain, quite yet. Those are the referrals are coming more and more, from past clients and, just referrals in that sense from other, maybe different lenders or previously that I've worked with or who have you, right? So I would say it's still probably a 60-40 lead generation, and then, referrals and, working that database.
Okay. Awesome. So what kinds of things, I'm curious what you do with your past clients as far as what your process is to stay in touch.
It's one of those things that I have to get better at, which is part of one of my goals. I've just done so many over the course of, the last 4 or 5 years now. Mm-hmm. And it's tough for me I'm so focused on front end, right? I'm so focused on the people that need my attention and my, production right there, right then, right now. And so it's hard for me to stray away from that. It's one of the things that I'm going to have to, it's part of my goals for next year is to, go back and work a lot of the, previous clients that I've had and, things like that. I stay in touch with, some of them, over the years, but not nearly as much as I should have been. And I know it's one of my weaknesses, but I've identified it as a weakness. And now it's just something that I want to turn into a strength.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it kind of goes into what I was asking you about how you keep your head screwed on straight, because doing that much business, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how you would keep up with your past clients, because
it's tough.
Time. There's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And then again, it's just those people need you. Those people that you're dealing with that are currently out there looking to buy, or they're wanting to go see homes, or we're in the middle of a contract going through negotiations. It's like, you only have so much to give each day. Right. And I care so much about these guys that it's tough for me to take my focus off of somebody who needs it right then and there. So I have to develop, I know that I have to develop a system to be able to, stay in touch with everybody, as tough of it as it may be. And it's not so much that I can have an event, because where am I going to invite people? I got people all over the state, maybe I can do it in different, areas throughout the year. I could go, northern, down south, a different part of the year. But, it's one of the things that I have to figure out, because you don't have the bandwidth that you would need to be able to do those things. So whether it's, hiring those things out, which I'm not a fan of, I like to be so hands-on with things. It doesn't have the same effect, right? Those people worked with you, they bought into you, they trusted you, they appreciate you. Somebody else making that phone call is not going to be as effective, right? Somebody else sending something out to them is not going to be as effective, right? So I just have to figure out a system that is going to work.
Although I've been coached for years, and my coach would say it's better to have it done than not done, even if it's only 70% as good.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Maybe I just need to hear these things. I'm coachable. I'm open to ideas.
I just that too, because I've got a team, and sometimes I get backed up. I try to call past clients every week, and there's so many, it's just hard to get to them all. So I ask a team member to help me call people.
And how have you found that have you found that to still be effective?
Yeah, it's pretty effective, but it's not the same as me, just like you said, but it's at least they're being called and they're being appreciated. And we have certain ways of approaching it that, like, I asked them to give them a call, which I did, and we just keep the call really simple. RJ asked me to reach out and see if you need anything, and he wanted you to know how much he appreciates you. It's as simple as that. And 99% of the time it's received really well.
Good. Well, See, maybe I just needed to hear this. I'm so afraid to let go of that, right? Because
No.
maybe I'm just not that special. Maybe I think these people are just bought into me, but maybe that's not the case. Sometimes you got to let go of a little bit of control.
But it kind of is you. It's like an extension of you.
That's true.
Here's another good one. Another agent shared, I can't remember who this was, shared with me his strategy. He would call a client anytime he had to drive more than 10 minutes. He would call at least one client during the drive. Because he was always like you, he was driving places every day. So he'd call 5, 6, 7 clients in a day, So it was easy for him to get through the list over time. He'd just keep the list in his car and knock out a few every day.
Yeah. I think that's the big thing for me is where do you start? You just go alphabetically. I don't know.
That's what I do. And now I'm going with the ones that haven't been called the longest ago. So, because I've got people I haven't called since 2022. So I'm trying to get, kind of get back in their minds a little bit because it was, well, you know how it was, 21.
Yeah.
2020.
Do you do anything for like home anniversaries and things of that nature?
I don't.
I know.
I'm honestly not the best either on past client stuff.
Yeah. Because that's what I was in terms of, how I was going to, because obviously that's one of the things that I'm, starting to focus on a lot more or want to start focusing on a lot more. I'm making a conscious decision to do that. I was thinking just, on the month of the year that they closed or on the month that they've closed, making sure to give them a call and so you go through all your, instead of alphabetically, you go through all your Novembers, you go through all through your Decembers, and so on and so forth.
Happy anniversary month. It doesn't have to be on the day.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was calling people on their birthday week for a while, and that was a good one.
That is good, because they're happy.
Your own parents may not call them,
Exactly.
Here I am. What? You're my lender? You're calling me?
Yeah, I like that. That's a good approach.
Yeah. Another one I've done too that's very low hanging fruit and is easy is a Facebook ad. So you know about Facebook custom audiences?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big social media guy. I'm terrible at a lot of things, I'm not afraid to admit them. I don't social media. I don't think I've ever posted anything in my life unless I was forced to. As far as real estate goes, like I made the transition from one brokerage to the next, but I've done so many transactions, and I think people would die who love social media to be in the position that I was in with having all that material to be able to put out there. I'm just not a look at me guy. I'm a more of, you tell me how great I've been, and that's good for me. I don't want to tell people how great I am.
I'm the same way. Yeah. But anyway, just to complete my thought, I run an ad that's just like, I call it the ad that sucks because it's not designed for people to click on it or anything. It's just like a billboard that follows people around. Hey, remember me? I'm RJ, your lender, and a little picture of my family.
Is that the one that they're trying to X off the screen? You got to chase it down.
Yeah. Or they X out of it and they're like, no, but it's really inexpensive and it just, that they keep being reminded of me. So,
gotcha. What is that one? A Facebook ad?
Yeah, I call it an ad that sucks.
Ad that sucks.
So you can upload a list of your clients and it finds out if they have a Facebook or Instagram account. And they can run an ad just to that list.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'll show you how to do it sometime.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get on Facebook.
What's that?
Maybe I'll get back on Facebook.
Yeah, so go create an account. That's step one. And then
no, I have an account. I think the last thing I posted was in like 2020.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't keep up with it.
I'm the worst too. But you don't have to be friends with them on Facebook or anything.
But it basically finds them?
Yeah, it sees if there's an account with that email or phone number.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah,
it targets them.
Pretty sneaky strategy. So,
we're not trying to target you guys.
Yeah. But we can powwow on that sometime.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Well, any other words of wisdom for other agents out there? What's your number one thing right now that you're working on?
Yeah, I mean, as far as words of wisdom goes, I mean, just be authentic, be yourself. People are going to see through it one way or the other. They're going to eventually find out. set the right expectations from the beginning, so you can hold each other accountable. If there's something that I'm not doing that I said that I was going to do, which is very rare, but if there is, I want to be held accountable. And I'm somebody who will take constructive criticism. And that's one of the things that does, I like when people tell me I'm doing something wrong, because I'm going to go around things, thinking it's right unless somebody stops me. So, be coachable, take constructive criticism, for what it is, have a system and, just set the right expectations and be yourself. Those are the things that I, found myself doing time over time that has made me so successful. And you're going to have to make a sacrifice. The sacrifice was the big one for me. I sacrificed a lot of, family and friends and, different things, throughout those years to be able to get where I wanted to go. There was often times where you were just driving nonstop every single day. And, you got to, understand what your goals are and set realistic expectations with yourself as far as what you're willing to sacrifice, because then, you don't have the ability to make an excuse if you're not obtaining those. But if you set it from the beginning that this is something that I'm not going to be able to do because I have, all these other things going on in life, that's okay too. Set realistic goals with yourself. I set unrealistic ones because I'm just different. So
nothing wrong with that. You might as well shoot for the stars and see if you can get there.
That's it. That's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Joe. Really appreciate you being on the show and sharing all your thoughts. It's easy to see why you're so successful.
I appreciate that, RJ. Thanks for having me on. And, hopefully we'll come back in the future.
Sounds good.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Real Estate Agent Superstars. If you're looking to dive deeper into the world of real estate and catch more episodes, head over to our website at www.realestateagentsuperstars.com. Curious about today's guest? Explore our show notes on the website for more details. Before you go, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating and follow us on social media for the latest podcast updates. Thanks for tuning in.